what's going on in Edmonton's new build real estate market? We're going to talk about that in this video. If you're thinking about building a home or just in the process of it, maybe you're trying to figure out what is going on, we're going to talk about that today. So today I'm here with Yang with Sterling Homes to give you a little bit of an inside scoop because the new build world has been a little bit unpredictable, to say the least. And so as we film in December 2022, yes. What is going on?
Well, as builders right now, we're still trying to catch up to the amount of volume we sold in the beginning of the year.
Right, so the demand has been much higher in the last 2 years, 3 years really,
yeah.
And everyone's trying to catch up. Now, you guys typically sell spec product for the most part. You did sell some like pre-sale homes too though, right?
Yeah,
pre-construction homes, but I know you've moved away from that. And builders who are building pre-construction homes, they're all like caught off guard by the huge demand that we had. And then we also, not only the demand, we also saw the price increases.
Yeah.
So price increases came from, well, we had demand of the labor.
Yep.
You guys had no labor, right?
No.
And what happened there?
So basically, since the beginning of COVID, actually, layoffs happened, right. And then the build never stopped.
They thought that no one was going to buy a house anymore.
Yeah.
And decided to let people go. They decided to not develop land, so then you have less land to sell. And oh look, everyone wants to buy a house. Became like a hot commodity.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, oh wait, everyone's buying a house. Okay, we got to get some stuff. And then also with the global pandemic, we also had the issue of supply and demand chain. Like there wasn't even stuff coming on time. Lumber prices went through the roof.
Yeah, inflation was a big problem for us.
And still is. And so hence the increase in all the interest rates and everything. So where are things now in terms of, for example, lumber prices? Are lumber prices still crazy?
They've gone back to probably closer to 2020 levels.
Okay, in 2020 levels, but not prior to pandemic levels.
Still higher than that.
Yes, and I don't honestly think it's going to come down back to that.
Yeah.
Now 2020 was still pretty high.
It was
so
high.
So are you talking about once it like as it went up and then it went kind of downish and then up again and like which?
So here's 2019.
Yeah.
Here's kind of us now.
Yes.
This was the peak. So we're
kind of on the screen.
Yeah, it's out the screen.
So it's more reasonable, but it's definitely still going to be expensive.
Yeah, it's between the $400 to $700 level is what we're trying to get to.
Right, and the new home build pricing has changed significantly from 2020 to 2022.
Yeah.
So a product that you sell right now, for example, what's the price difference on average?
Not much anymore. In the beginning of the year, like probably March or April.
Peak. Yeah.
We're probably looking at sometimes over $100,000 in difference.
And now we're scaled right back.
We're scaled back to maybe $50,000 difference.
More than a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Right. And so you've got 50K higher than a couple of years ago. Your interest rates are definitely higher than they were a couple of years ago. However, we can't kind of look on the back and keep thinking, I wish I could have done that. It is what it is, and the land is what it is too. Yeah. Now, what about the land? Is there more land available for this coming year?
Definitely, 100% more land coming up compared to the last 2 years.
Right.
But also, because of inflation you talked about, more expensive as well.
Right, and I also know that other builders as well are also grabbing that spec model.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how Sterling, why they chose instead of to focus on pre-construction. So for you guys watching, pre-construction is when you decide to build from scratch. Like you're looking at the lot, you're picking the lot, picking the house, you're designing everything. Some builders are actually moving towards a spec model, which means you're buying a house already in construction. Stuff has usually been already picked out. There might be some chances to change colors, depends on the builder. And I know it's not just Sterling that's doing this. And why is that model so important to Sterling?
So that model was basically produced to increase our efficiency in cost and basically in build time.
Because people will keep changing their minds.
Exactly.
And then they blame the builder that their house isn't being built on time.
I hear that a lot.
We hear that all the time. So, because it's never your guys' fault. But you do have there are some issues with builders sometimes too. There's stuff with the city, because the city's like all backed up with their stuff, and I know they let go a ton of people.
Yeah.
What are you finding on the permit side? Are things moving along a little bit better than they were in the peak?
It's probably a little bit better,
but it's still not great.
Not great, but with this new year, Edmonton actually has a new policy where we can now construct houses on unregistered land, meaning there's no address on the house. We can start building on it.
That's going to be interesting for the mortgage brokers when they have no address. So the spec model, though, the reason we do that, so efficiencies.
Yep.
So that means it can pass the savings on to the buyer.
Yes.
And buyers cannot have to pay as much if you were to build from scratch.
Yep.
The other thing I think too for me as a realtor representing you, we got timelines.
Yep.
Because when you are starting from scratch, you've got all the unknowns of the city, of the land, of the construction, of the order of product, of the material, all that kind of stuff. But when you do spec product, it's in the ground, you've already ordered everything, you actually already have a timeline. And I know that I've talked to you guys before about, hey, it's important to us that we can actually deliver what we say we're going to deliver.
Yeah.
So your timelines, what are your timelines looking like now?
We're still looking at about 12 months from scratch.
Okay.
But most of the product that we released for sale is probably already foundation, or what we call backfilled.
Okay.
So it's going to
and
be...
what? How many months from that stage?
We're hoping to be within 8 months, but sometimes with delays, probably 10, but 8 months is what we're trying to do, and we've been reaching that consistently now.
So construction time to build, typically 12 months. Some builders will build faster, some builders will build slower. You need to really examine the builder for yourself to see how important it is to you. Because I know we all want fast builds, but you got to think of what gets compromised when builds go really fast. And you also have to accommodate for delays that builders can't control, like the weather, right? We have extreme temperatures, we have extreme heat, we have extreme cold, we have rain, we have all the things that you cannot control, and it's out of their control. But I think it's really good when you do spec that you can actually know a little bit more, because it's been very unpredictable.
Yeah.
It's been like, normally you do this process, but actually we're going to do this because we have the trades for it now, so let's just put them in.
Yeah.
And it's been a bit of a gong show. So are you seeing a little bit more of a regular, like, systematized process now?
So in the beginning, last year it was mainly material. So we have a lot of lead time for material orders now, which is much better.
Yeah.
Right now it's all about labor. So sometimes
Okay.
the trades actually take off too much and do not have time to finish some of our homes. So we're trying to schedule that a little bit better, and it's getting a little bit better, but people need to start getting back to work more.
Right, so if you're looking for work, I bet you there's some opportunities in trades. So the first increase in the first little peak of things had to do with things out of control in the global world, but also majority materials.
Yeah.
And now you're saying labor shortages is a big factor.
Exactly.
So that'll be interesting because labor is something that is what causes us to have a good economy, people to afford to buy houses. So there's definitely opportunity there, and we'll see how it affects the real estate market. Yeah. And every quarter we're going to talk with Yang to kind of find out what's going on in the new build world. Is there a ton of product out there? Is it what we thought? Because we don't have a crystal ball.
No.
So we think that we have lots of land, and we might have too much land.
We might have too much land.
Because the demand has significantly changed in the real estate market in general, and so we don't know what's going to happen. I know that you guys are being proactive, and there's a lot of product out there, because usually when you're looking to buy a house, you want to move in now. You don't want to wait 12 months. So this past couple of years, when I call these guys, they're like, we got like 2 products, or we don't have anything. And so then there's more impact on the resale market, because now it's like, well, we can't build, we can't get a new home, let's see what's in resale. But then in resale, there's nothing either. So that has changed in the resale. There is stuff on there. If sellers are being more reasonable with their pricing and builders have more reasonable pricing, there's going to be a little bit more of an equal distribution of sales. But in the past, before the peak, you guys were so low in price, it was so incentivizing, it didn't make sense to buy resale. Then in the peak, it was like, this is insane. Why would I buy such an expensive product, not know what's going to happen, not know if I have to wait a long time, so I'm going to buy resale. And now I think I'm seeing, build is still a little bit higher, but I'm starting to see, because there's still always going to be people who want to build new.
Yeah.
Or want a new house. So now the takeaway for you is that there is opportunity to still get a good deal, and your products are, depends on what you're looking for. But the neighborhoods are all there, the land is being... When do you guys usually buy land?
So right now we're selling land from last year.
Yep.
So you're getting the prices of land from last year.
Right.
So if you wait a little bit longer, you're getting the prices of land this year, which
When
is
do you guys
significant.
buy land?
We buy land probably right now for next year.
For December and January. Okay. So when you're watching this in January, is there still opportunity to buy the old price land?
Yep. So
Right.
in January, there's still some for prices from last year. The land we buy now is for winter of next year.
Okay. Yeah. So, and then that's again, if you're building pre-construction, it depends on what lot you want. But if you're buying spec, you just look at the product they have there, and you have them in different stages.
We
So
do.
you don't have to start at foundation. You could maybe buy a house that's already framed, or maybe it's literally at finishing stages.
Yeah, finished ones are better priced.
I guess because they're motivated.
Exactly.
And the finished prices also have a quicker date. Usually, what is it, 30, 60 days?
30 days.
30 days, so ready to go.
Yep.
So that's what's happening in our Edmonton real estate build market. Comment down below what you want to hear about next build update, and we'll talk to you next time.